Hello and welcome to today's video. We are here with our power rankings. I'll say we're here playing, but we're not. We're here talking about Overwatch. And we're doing power rankings. And this week I do want to just point out, this is not our normal setup that we'll do for our power rankings. It's just the situation that we have. The fact that I had toe surgery the other day, fix an infection that I had. I can't really stand up for however long this video is. With the way my toe is, really shouldn't be. So we're gonna be sitting here, but from now on, from probably next week, we'll be back standing where we normally do power rankings. I just want to throw that in there. But yeah, we're back. This is super exciting. Power rankings were one of the reasons, honestly, why I stuck doing YouTube throughout last year to keep going into this year, and I really look forward to getting into this. So, of course, stage 1, week 1. We didn't do that last year. We started around week 4 of the first stage. So, yeah, we're here jumping into power rankings for the first week. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the season before we get into it. The new teams, I think, really showed that they are good. I was really concerned about new teams coming in, if they would perform as well as the previous teams did, and obviously we got to see some really good play from expansion teams. A decent amount of them won their games. I don't think there was really many expansion teams that didn't win. Maybe Washington didn't win, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, so there's that. There's a bunch of changes. The teams that we obviously talked about during the off-season. And yeah, it's really going to be fun to take a look here at our power rankings. So, that's exciting. The way that they did the broadcast this year for Overwatch League, I think, is pretty good as well. Personally, I like the way that it moves along a little bit faster, not having like these 4-minute breaks and then, having like a very, very long halftime segment. It's a lot shorter, and I think that's very well on that aspect. And then on the game in general, the meta that we've seen, the GOATS meta, I know a lot of people don't like that. Triple tank, triple support. Personally, I think that's a really fun way to watch. I've always liked tank and healer play. That's typically what I play myself. I play Diva, and then occasionally Reinhardt also plays Zenyatta, Mercy, Brigitte. So I tend to play a lot of the tanks, healers, when I play Overwatch myself. So I really like to see them, those characters shine. And then, I'm not really a big fan of seeing the Widow battles. Personally, everybody gassing them up. Not really my thing. But yeah, that's the thing. And then for new maps, obviously we haven't seen Busan or Rialto within the Overwatch League. We've seen them in the Overwatch World Cup. But seeing them in Overwatch League, Busan's been very interesting. It introduces a good control map. Most control maps in Overwatch are pretty bad. So it introduces actually a good control map, fun to watch. Rialto, on the other hand, not very fun to watch considering the first, most of the pushes get stopped at the first point. Not really the most fun map to watch in Overwatch. But now we're going to jump into the games. I'm not really sure how we're going to do that this season. I guess the same as last year. Does it work that way? It does. Okay. So, we're going to go through like we did last year. I'll give my team ranking and then say the games that they played, what their matchup was, what maps they played, and our reason for their ranking. Okay, so let's get into it. First thing, the power rankings, nothing based it off of, just the performance this week. Next week we'll base it off of the previous week mixed with their results from week 2. But the first week, nothing to go up or down off of. We're not doing preseason power rankings added to this because recent power rankings are my predictions, not based on watching games or records on maps. So the first team in last place, very, very surprising to see here, is the London Spitfire. We'll get into why Shanghai is not last in a couple minutes. But London Spitfire first. The reason I put them down so low is they are such a good team. And this goes off of the fact that they were good last year. I'm not saying that I base my rankings off of that, but London was such a good team and they have such high expectations. Losing to Philadelphia's a decent team. I'm not going to say they're a great team, but they're a decent team. Losing to them, it's possible. But their second loss, just not really acceptable. So that's why I put them last, just because of how bad they played this week. London lost 3-1 to Philadelphia, a rematch of the Grand Finals match last year. Philadelphia won Ilios. Hollywood and Rialto only dropping Volskaya in a match that went to 5 points. And then for London, they lost later on Sunday and Saturday. They lost to Paris 3-1, dropping Ilios, Volskaya, and Route 66, only winning Kings Row over the Paris Eternal. That's why I have them ranked so low. I feel like they could have played a lot better this week. I wouldn't have been surprised to see them be 2-0, but to be 0-2, that's definitely a shock and definitely something that drops them down deservingly. All right, coming in number 19 is the Houston Outlaws. There's 8 more teams to go through this year than there was last year. That's a mega meme already. All right, so number 19 is the Houston Outlaws. They lost first to the Toronto Defiant 3-2, going to overtime, getting reverse swept, or I'd just say lose the last 3 maps. I mean, getting a sweep implies that you win 4 games or win everything, so a reverse sweep isn't really a thing. I've been against that since the beginning of Overwatch League. Personally, it's not my favorite terminology to use, because I feel like that's not a thing. A sweep is winning everything, and a reverse sweep doesn't exist. Houston Outlaws won Nepal and Nimbani, then losing Volskaya, Route 66, and Busan to the Toronto Defiant, then to come back themselves again and lose to the Boston Uprising 3-2. This one here, I don't believe they went and got destroyed. No, they went and lost. They won Nepal, lost Hollywood, lost Volskaya, won Dorado, and then lost Ilios, the tiebreaker map. So again, Houston Outlaws, I've never been a big up on their team. I feel like they aren't really that good of a roster. Keeping a lot of the similar roster from the previous season. Again, it's not really something that I've been up on myself. I don't think they have that good of a team. I feel like they could have definitely made a lot of improvements throughout the season, but they did not. So that's a thing. Next up, number 18. This one's very spicy, okay? I didn't even have to walk away, but, you know, sometimes things happen. Sometimes your cat watches the game with you and then decides to leave when you start recording. And since you don't want to edit, you know how things work when you don't want to edit. Next, though, number 18 is the Shanghai Dragons. See, this is why I don't like sitting over here doing a video. Could be over there. Plus, since it's 11 o'clock at night, my parents are sleeping, so I can't just leave the door open. Because they leave the door open for the cats to go into their room. So, number 18, Shanghai Dragons. The highest of Shanghai Dragons, I think, ever been in our power rankings for a single season was 10th. So this is about equivalent to being 10th last season, being 19th. Just due to the fact there's 8 new teams. The Shanghai Dragons, I did my one meme with the Jordan crying face and the Shanghai Dragons logo because I did that last season. But personally, I feel like the Shanghai Dragons are a very, very good team. I don't necessarily agree with the announcer saying they're a top 8 team to start. I do want them to prove something. But I feel like by watching Shanghai and learning about their team, I feel like my preseason predictions of them being the worst team in the league were definitely wrong. If I look at all the teams that played, honestly, Houston, Florida, I feel like are the worst teams. Just based on this power rank that I made here. But obviously, we have to go week by week. So I can't just say they're the worst because that's how I feel. I'm going to go off of what I see here. Shanghai, again, I feel like they're a very solid team. I think they're a top 8 team, and in the playoffs, like the announcers have been saying, announcers, analysts, all of them have been saying they're a top 8 team, they're going to be in the playoffs. I haven't seen that from them. So I can't say Shanghai is going to be a playoff team. But I can say that Shanghai, in the next week or two, will get some wins. And honestly, I tweeted out the other day saying that Shanghai honestly has a chance to be 3-2 in the next 2 weeks, playing against Chengdu Hunters, Boston Uprising, Dallas Fuel. I feel like those are all winnable games, beatable teams for Shanghai. I feel like they're a top, solid team. They just have to prove that they are a decent team before everybody says you're a decent team. I feel it's very similar if we take a football analogy. The Cleveland Browns had a really good roster or a decent roster. You know, they have a quarterback, a receiver, running back, good defensive players, but you can't just say they're going to be a playoff team when they're 1-32 in the last 2 seasons. It's a similar thing. You know, Shanghai is 0-40 coming into the season. You can't say they're going to be a playoff team. Even if they have a whole new roster, new coaches, everything, I feel like it's very, very high to say team's going to make a playoffs when they just built everything from the ground up. Very similar to an expansion team. So for Shanghai, their first game was on Thursday. This has it listed as Friday because they finished the game on Friday. On Friday, they became the first team to go 0-41 in sports ever, losing to the Hangzhou Spark, as the Spark became the first Chinese team to ever get a win in the Overwatch League, beating the team who spent a whole season there. Hangzhou Spark won Busan, Hollywood, Horizon Lunar Colony, and Rialto. I mean, no, they lost Horizon. They won Busan, Hollywood, and Rialto. Are the maps split up differently this year? I think that they're laid out differently. Then on Saturday, I think it is different. Yeah, it's not necessarily in order. It always starts with control, but you may see hybrid, escort, or assault, different orders. Alright, so they did get 4-0 by the Vancouver Titans, who are a very, very strong roster, coming in from the runaway team from Contenders Korea Season 2. They're the champions of that in 2018. The Titans are a very, very strong roster. They're very, very confident as well. One of their players said that a lot of the Contenders Korea teams are actually better than Overwatch League teams, which I thought was a very interesting comment to say. I feel like it could potentially be true. Contenders Korea's got a very, very strong roster. A lot of players come from Contenders Korea. But that's what they said. I forgot what player it was exactly. There's a million new players. Can't remember all of them. Honestly, I can't remember like all the players in Seoul Dynasty, so don't ask me to remember players on other teams. I do have an interest in watching the Titans, though. But the thing about the Titans, they won Busan, Hollywood, Temple of Anubis, and Dorado. But I do think Shanghai will be a good team going forward. Just give them a week or two. They'll be very, very good. Next, we have number 17, the Florida Mayhem. Florida Mayhem are still bad. They're still the same team that was bad last year. So how many games did the Florida Mayhem play this week? Florida Mayhem only played 1 game. They played against the Atlanta Reign, one of the new teams in the Overwatch League, and lost 4-0, losing Ilios, Hollywood, Volskaya, and Route 66. Alright, next up is the Washington Justice. Again, a new expansion team. They only played 1 game this week as well. They played against the strongest team from Season 1, the New York Excelsior. They lost 3-1, with the Excelsior winning Ilios, Kings Row, Hanamura, and Rialto. Well, they won Horizon, but they lost the other 3. Very interesting. Washington Justice coach, former coach of New York Excelsior, and also one of the players. I believe it was Janice is on Washington Justice, and he was on the Excelsior. But the Excelsior proved to be the stronger, better team. And we'll have to see what the Justice can do next week. Alright, coming in number 15. Is that right? Yeah. I use my iPad for the ranking here. It makes it a little bit easier instead of having to click between all this stuff. Oh, we looked at the standings last season. That's what we did. We'll go over the standings. I knew there was something else that we did. Here's the thing. The standings aren't really going to be super valuable the first week. I'll definitely introduce standings next week. But when we look at it, we'll go over the standings at the end of the episode, though, I guess. I entirely forgot. I'm like, there's something else that I did. Because I used to click through like 5 different things. We will look at standings next episode again. Standings, map differential for the season don't really matter at the moment. Right now, we will go over... I guess we'll go over Stage 1 standings. Because I guess that's pretty important. The top 8 teams in the stage make it to the stage. And we'll take a look at the I don't know. It doesn't matter right now. Let's just say that. We're at number 15. I do apologize for missing that, but again, it's not really going to matter the first week. Teams either have one win, either no wins, one win, one loss, or 2 wins. And map differential is going to be like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Like it's not really much detail yet. But we'll get into that next week. The Los Angeles Valiant, though, they played one game this week as well. They went up against the Hangzhou Spark. The way their power rankings were built this week, though, were a lot of the teams that had 2 losses were at the very bottom. The only teams that were 0-1 were here. Then we had a lot of teams that are 1-1. Then we got 1-0 and then 2-0. It's sort of the way that it's built. A little bit different when we get towards the top. You'll see. So the Valiant played their one game. They went against the Hangzhou Spark as well, the team that beat Shanghai earlier in the week. They lost Busan, then won Numbani and Temple of Anubis, then lost Dorado and Nepal. The Valiant, I believe Cussa didn't play that game, and I think they just have a couple of things themselves to sort of sort out as a team. Losing soon, I think, is very, very crucial to the team, as much as maybe a lot of teams deny losing players aren't that important, but I feel like a player like Soon was important to the Valiant, and we'll see how that impacts later. The next team is the Guangzhou Charge. I believe Guangzhou only played one game themselves as well. They lost to the Chengdu Hunters, the second matchup of the week of 2 teams from China. As we've seen earlier with Shanghai and Hangzhou, we now have Guangzhou and Chengdu. Guangzhou Charge won on Busan 2-0. Then Chengdu took Numbani. Guangzhou won Volskaya. And then Chengdu won Dorado and Nepal. So Guangzhou is our 14th team. Coming in number 13 is the Boston Uprising. Now, Boston Uprising made some very, very odd moves, in my opinion. They got rid of Gamsu, Striker, and Mistakes during the offseason. And recently, I know Gamsu, they got rid of him just a couple days ago when he got picked up by Shanghai. Mistakes they got rid of early in the offseason. And Striker, then they traded him for something to San Francisco. I don't know if they traded for a player or for money, one of the two. But definitely get rid of those 3 players is an interesting decision. So Boston, I feel like, is not that good of a team. But they did get wins this week. I believe they got 1 win and had a decent match against the Excelsior, so I put them where they're at. But I feel like you'll see the Boston sort of fall down a little bit. Their only good player being Fusions, in my opinion. I feel like the 3 players that I said, Striker, Mistakes, and Gamsu, were their good players last season. Getting rid of all 3 of them. Bringing in Fusions as your only good player. Again, I feel like rookie players always kind of like shine. We've seen that during this week. A lot of these new players are like blowing everybody's mind. And last season, like, there were certain players that they either came into a team late or something like that, and they're just, everyone's like, wow, this person's crazy. Then they kind of just went back to doing nothing super spectacular. There's like one player just like pops off in the game and everybody gasses him up. We can look at Pine for an example from the Excelsior. He had like 2 or 3 weeks where he was just going off, and then he kind of like faded back to just like being really good, but not like wowing everybody. I feel that's something we could see with Fusions. He could definitely like come out and wow everybody for a week or 2. They kind of go back doing nothing super spectacular. Once teams sort of figure you out, there's not really much you're going to do. So, with that, Boston Uprising at 13. They played against the Excelsior. The Excelsior won Nepal. Uprising won Numbani. They tied on Horizon. Then the Excelsior went on to win Route 66, ending the match there. The next matchup for Boston was a win over the Houston Outlaws on Sunday. The Houston Outlaws, again, one of our worst-ranked teams. But Boston's close game against New York is what actually propelled them up higher than a win over the Outlaws. Again, they do get to be put in the win column. It's still a number in the win column. But winning against Houston isn't super impressive. Boston Uprising lost on Nepal and then come out and won Hollywood and Volskaya. Then Boston lost to Rudda and then won Ilios. This is a match that is absolutely terrible, in my opinion. These are probably the two teams that I dislike the most and strongly dislike. That is for sure. These are both teams that I do not like at all, and I'm glad that I missed the game. Alright, the next match, the next team is the Los Angeles Gladiators. They were 1-1 this week as well. They first lost to Seoul Dynasty to start off. They lost to Seoul Dynasty to start off on Thursday, their opening match of the season. They won Ilios and then lost Kings Row, Horizon, Lunar Colony, and Route 66. Then Los Angeles Gladiators played on Sunday against the San Francisco Shock. They played against them on Ilios, which they lost. Winning Hollywood, winning Horizon Lunar Colony, losing Rialto, and then winning on Busan. Now, my one issue, the Gladiators are one of those teams that's just kind of like boring. They don't really like, some of these teams, they have like crazy personalities and like super interesting things. The Gladiators are kind of the team that exists, in my opinion. I feel like their personality was Fisher last year. The Gladiators don't really have like super flashy player or super like interesting player. And I actually tweeted this about, I don't know the dude's name, Surefour, I think. He somehow won Widowmaker Battle last season. Don't really know how, but he did. And I tweeted this, and it was very interesting. I watched the game, because I turned on Overwatch. I think I'd finished watching NASCAR, watched Daytona 500, finished watching that because I came home from watching more sports. So basically spent all day watching sports. Watched the cross at the casino, came home and watched Daytona 500, and then when that was over, recorded faster, whatever, see what I need to see. I turned on Overwatch League, and it was the end of the Shock Gladiators game. And the guy there, name is Danny, was asking the question to Surefour once the game was over. And he said, you know, Monty has you ranked to the power rankings 5th or whatever, in the Shocker 1st or whatever. You know, is your team ranked there? And he could have said something spicy, could have said something dank. But he says, Overwatch is hard to predict. So I tweeted saying, so boring and unenthusiastic, fits his team, I guess. Which I feel like is true. I did get one comment that said he's a gentleman. But still. For the most part, I feel like that team's just boring. They're not really flashy to watch. They're not really flashy to, you know, personality-wise. But yeah, that's the thing. So the Gladiators beat the Shock, which, the thing about this was, let me just tell you a story real quick. Before we get to number 11, again, once I was done watching NASCAR, I came in here, into my room. I had finished watching the race, turned on the game, whatever, and I'm like, you know, let's see whatever happens. I'll do my power rankings. I leave 4 spots open, or 6 spots. I leave Dynasty and Fuel because they hadn't played yet. I knew where the Shock were about to be because I thought the Shock were honestly winning. I didn't really see the score. I thought it was 2-1 for the Shock, and they won Real. I'm like, all right. And I had the Shock written in like 4th or whatever, and I was going to put the Gladiators like 16th. And then the Gladiators come back and win. Because again, I thought that it was 2-1 for the Shock, not 2-1 for the Gladiators. So I look up, and when the Shock win Rialto, I'm just like, that's over. And they're like, we're going to a map 5. And I'm just like, I was like, surprised. So I had to go through, change my power rankings once the map changed and put the teams in the Shock, which are 11th, and the Gladiators in 12th. And I had to change this. And then I also had the Spark open because I felt like Seoul was going to beat Dallas because, if you don't know, I'm a Seoul Dynasty fan. But, you know, from my unbiased opinion here, I did feel that Seoul was a better team than Dallas. In general, I was very surprised that they won. So I was like, Seoul's either going to be 2nd or 3rd here. Where's the Spark going to be in compared to Seoul, however Seoul plays? Dallas beat Seoul. So the Spark go to their spot in 2nd, which I will reveal now. The Spark are 2nd. So I'm like, all right, so I got to put Dynasty down further, move the fuel up, because I was going to put the fuel, like, because the fuel lost. If they did lose, they were going to be 0-2. So I was going to have them, like, 17th. So the last 2 games surprised me, so I had to change all this stuff. And I kept most of the teams in their spot, but very, very surprising to sort of see 2 games just shake up the power rankings so much. But with that, I did say San Francisco Shock is the 11th place team. San Francisco Shock did play on Friday against Dallas Fuel. It's very interesting how this story of Dallas, Seoul, San Francisco, and Los Angeles Gladiators also to go together. Because we talked about the Gladiators, and we talked about the Shock playing against Dallas, and we talked about the Gladiators playing against Dynasty, who played against Fuel. Wild. They're all connected here. But the Shock, who are supposed to be a very, very good team this season, they got a great roster. They really came out, and we've seen towards the end of the season last year how improved of a team they were. And now we get to sort of see that come to fruition here in the league in season number 2, or the 2019 season. San Francisco Shock beating the Dallas Fuel on Nepal, Kings Row, Rising Lunar Colony, and Rialto 4-0. I believe that might have been the first 4-0 of the new season. It was the second 4 of the new season. Atlanta Reign over Florida Mayhem, the match before. And then we fast forward to Sunday, the San Francisco Shock against the Los Angeles Gladiators. And I was surprised by the results, as I said just now. The Shock were going to be like the 4th ranked team. The other teams I had above it, New York, Hangzhou, and then Seoul. They were my only teams that, going into making the power rankings, I'm like, all right, these teams are above San Francisco. But that all got shaken up. The Shock losing the Gladiators really, really hurt their stock as a team, in my opinion. Again, early in the season, we'll see. So we got the Shock beating the Gladiators in Ilios. Then the Gladiators come back and win Hollywood and Horizon Lunar Colony. Then we had the Shock winning Rialto. And then the Gladiators won on Busan. So the next team is the Atlanta Reign. Now we're getting into a lot of the teams that have 1 win this season and no losses. The only team I believe in the top 10 with a loss is the Seoul Dynasty, and I'll explain that as we go. Like, oh, that's your favorite team. And we'll explain how that worked. Oh, no, actually, Dallas Fuel will have a loss. Dallas Fuel and Seoul Dynasty are the only 2 teams with losses in the top 10. I'll explain why these 2 teams have losses, but are in the top 10. And it's for a very good reason. The last game of the week was a phenomenal game played by both teams. But first, we got the Atlanta Reign. Pretty simple. Not really much to talk about with Atlanta Reign. One of the teams I haven't watched yet. This week I did a lot of stuff that didn't allow me to spend the whole day watching the games. We'll talk about Atlanta and then I'll explain why. The Atlanta Reign beat Florida pretty easy. Ilios, Hollywood, Valskaya, and Route 66. Now we move on to the 9th place team. But first, the reason why I didn't get to watch a lot of games. Thursday, I was watching NASCAR qualifying races for the Daytona 500. Didn't get to watch it. I was watching that with my parents. You know, it's what we like to watch together. So I didn't really get to watch that. Friday, the thing about that was, it was a similar thing. I was watching a race, told my mom I was going to watch it with her. I had my toe fixed, so I kind of like fell asleep during part of these games at the end as well, because I've been resting a lot the last couple days. Saturday was my birthday on the 16th. So I was doing things for my birthday for the first 3 games. I was out eating. We did like a family event, which wasn't birthday related, but it was still on my birthday. We did that. Then I went to my grandparents' house. Was there for a while. So the only game I had to watch that day was the Titans and Dragons. And then the game on Sunday, I told you I went to the lacrosse game at the casino. That was something, so I missed that game. Then I watched a ton of 500, so I missed that. Those games, and then I was able to watch Seoul Dynasty Dallas Fuel. But next week I should watch games, I believe, except for, well, the Thursday games I'll probably miss a couple. of them. I think I probably missed the first two. I gotta go to a concert, and then I may miss like the first game on Sunday. Who knows? We'll talk about the matchups coming up later. But coming in at number 9, there's a lot of things I'm going over in this episode, which we're not going to have all this in like upcoming episodes. You know, it's really just working out a lot of the, things, getting back into the groove of doing Overwatch League power rankings. So, again, I hope everybody's liked this video so far. Very long video, I know, but power rankings take a long time to break down. I got way too many stories that I've told. So we'll really get into power rankings a lot more next week. Toronto Defiant are our next team. They beat the Houston Outlaws in a reverse sweep, winning or losing on Nepal and Nimbani. They're winning Volskaya, Route 66, and Busan. I believe the map 5s have gone to the 3rd point on all 3 map 5s this week. I believe this was the stat that I seen. Toronto only played once. Okay. This is the weird thing about the power rankings this year, is teams only playing once, twice, or next week teams won't even not play at all. So it'll be very, very interesting with the power rankings. Next week we'll also have, again, we'll throw the standings in there, and we'll have this team moved up 5 spots, or this team moved down 5 spots, or this team moved up 1, or, whatever. Next we have the Dallas Fuel. Again, they're one of the only teams in the top 10 with a loss this week. Dallas Fuel and Seoul Dynasty. My reason for that is the match between Seoul Dynasty and Dallas Fuel, which we will get to. We'll talk a little bit about that. Right now, we'll talk about the Dallas Fuel side, and then we'll talk about the Seoul Dynasty side when it's their turn. First up, the Dallas Fuel had a really, really bad loss at San Francisco Shock, and this is what had me looking at them being like 16th, 17th. Dallas Fuel losing to San Francisco Shock on these maps here. Nimbani, Kings Row, Horizon Lunar Colony, and Rialto. Pretty bad loss there. Again, San Francisco's a really, really good team, though. Dallas Fuel came out and surprised me, and I think a lot of people, with the win over the Seoul Dynasty. Winning Busan, Kings Row, losing Volskaya, and then winning Rialto. Dallas Fuel, I tweeted out a couple times, it just seemed like things are going their way. Dallas Fuel really, really got lucky with a couple of the plays. But overall, Dallas Fuel has sort of shown that they are a decent roster. Improving from last season. And Dallas Fuel, with this win over Seoul Dynasty, who I ranked as a really high team coming into the season, I think a lot of people did. It was a very, very good win for them, and I feel like it's going to propel them forward and potentially get more wins. Not potentially more wins, definitely get more wins. And we'll see some good things out of Dallas, I feel, as a team this year. They definitely won't be one of these garbage teams like I had rated them, with a very, very good win over Seoul Dynasty. So that is the Dallas Fuel. So, yeah, that's the thing. I think they were overall a great team. Moving forward. Next up, we have the Paris Eternal. Paris Eternal only played 1 game this week. It was their opening game against the supposed to be really strong London Spitfire. Paris won on Ilios and lost on Kings Row, won Volskaya and Route 66. Very impressive win from a team that I think will be a playoff team when it comes down to playoff time. The next team up is the Seoul Dynasty, who went 1-1 this week with their very impressive win over the Los Angeles Gladiators, and then their surprise loss to the Dallas Fuel. So Seoul Dynasty came out with their new additions. Michelle really showed out as a great player, in my opinion, especially against Dallas Fuel, and obviously Fissure being Fissure. I mean, you get what you get with Fissure. You get a great player. We come to their matchup against the Gladiators, a match that Fissure definitely wants to win up against one of his former teams. They lost on Ilios, which really gave me last season 5s, and I was shook. And then they went to Kings Row, Horizon Lunar Colony, and Route 66. Route 66 was a great match between both teams. They pushed the payload really, really far in overtime. I believe each team only had like a minute. I think Gladiators had a minute, and Dynasty had a minute and a half, and they both pushed almost all the way through point B. Definitely hard to do. That was impressive by both teams. Then we get to the Dallas Fuel match, which we just talked about a minute ago. Dallas Fuel winning on Busan. Kings Row. Oh boy. Got my iPad and MacBook open. Double notification. I got a text message. Seoul Dynasty won Volskaya, and then Dallas Fuel winning Rialto. Reason Seoul's is high up here. Again, I said about Dallas, it seemed like it was just their day to win. But honestly, on this map, again, this could be with a lot of the teams. I just don't watch every single game, and I apologize for not watching every game, but it's definitely hard to just sit down and spend 4 days, multiple hours watching a game. But from this game, it definitely could have started out 2-0 for Seoul Dynasty. Dallas Fuel could have won Volskaya. And Seoul, the only map that they really played bad on was Rialto. But besides that, this game definitely could have been 3-0 going to Rialto for Seoul Dynasty, or it could have easily been 3-0 for Dallas Fuel. This was a very, very close game back and forth. Seoul really had a good play on Busan. So did Dallas. Kings Row ultimately came down to AKM getting some headshots on Widowmaker that won or lost that game for Dallas. Volskaya, same thing. It really went back and forth. Seoul had last-second pushes that won on that map. So I feel like Seoul's a very, very strong team. Came against Dallas Fuel, determined to win, and all this stuff. Very, very good match from both teams. I recommend if you want to go back and watch games, that is definitely one to go back and watch. Because I feel like Seoul and Dallas played really well. That's why Seoul is ranked where they are. They had a very, very good game to start. And then it could have really went either way against the Dallas Fuel. The next team is Lamim's team, the Chengdu Hunters. They are a team that I ranked them high because I felt they're going to be good. And they played decent. Definitely a closer match than a lot of the other teams play that are in our high rankings. But the Chengdu Hunters were solid in their match against the Guangzhou Charge. Losing Busan, winning Nabani, losing Volskaya, and then winning Dorado and Nepal. I feel like Chengdu is one of those teams that's good. They started off with that win over Guangzhou. Very impressive. But I feel like they may take a step or two back and drop down a little bit in the power rankings. I had them ranked about 8th coming this season, so I feel like 5th is very generous for them. But I put them up a little bit higher just because they played one game and they had a decent start. A lot of these one-game win teams are in about this area. I just put them up there. They were a team that I actually watched, so that does benefit a little bit compared to a team like Paris, who I didn't watch, Toronto, Atlanta, all these one-win teams I didn't watch. But again, one of the reasons Chengdu, again, is above Toronto, Toronto who I have 9th, Chengdu who's 5th, the fact that, and again, Paris as well. Toronto and Paris both won against teams that I ranked very, very low in power rankings. Toronto beat Houston, who was ranked 19th, and Paris beat London, who was ranked 20th. So beating those teams is not as impressive as a team that I have ranked a little bit higher in 14th. So I put Chengdu up there, and I feel like they are going to be a good team. Next week they go up against Seoul Dynasty. It's going to be a good one between myself and Lamim. Our team's going at it. Looking forward to watching that one. We'll break down some previews games for next week in just a moment. Coming up next, we have the Philadelphia Fusion. They're one of 3 teams, along with New York and Hangzhou, who do not have a loss on the season. If we look through teams real quick that don't have a loss on the season, there's a couple. You have Philadelphia, Hangzhou, and New York, who each have 2 wins, no losses. Vancouver, Paris, Chengdu, and Toronto each have 1 win and no losses. And then Atlanta, San Francisco, Boston, Seoul, Los Angeles Gladiators, and Dallas Fuel each have 1 win and 1 loss. Then you have Guangzhou, Los Angeles Valiant, Washington Justice, and Florida Mayhem, each with 1 loss. Then Houston Outlaws, London Spitfire, and Shanghai Dragons, each with 2 losses. What is this? The 2019 playoff format? Ooh. Tie-breaking map differential, head-to-head record. Oh, head-to-head map record. Ooh. Ooh, that's a pogger. Okay, let's get back to this. Who are we on next? Philadelphia Fusion. I feel like they beat London, so to set London down at the start. But Philadelphia overall, again, they're not really a team that impresses me, but having 2 wins, I can't rate them super low. Philadelphia won Ilios and Hollywood, losing Volskaya, and then winning on Rialto. Philadelphia then went on to beat the Atlanta Reign, who are one of our 1-1 teams. I didn't realize Atlanta Reign played twice this week. Huh. I don't know if I said the Atlanta Reign second game. If I didn't, I apologize. The Atlanta Reign won Nepal, lost Kings Row, won Volskaya, and then lost Dorado and Ilios to the Philadelphia Fusion, who we're actually talking about. We're not talking about the Atlanta Reign. Alright. The Atlanta Reign, Dallas Fuel, and Seoul Dynasty are the 3 1-1 teams. There's a lot of 1-1 teams now in the top 10. I didn't realize that. Oops. Okay, Toe, it's okay. Next up, number 3, the Vancouver Titans. Throwing in a little bit of spice in there. 1 win, but a dominating win that's kind of put them above Philadelphia and above Chengdu as teams that haven't lost. Is there only 5 teams that don't have a loss? Because if it is, I'll be very happy that those are my top 5 teams. There's 7 teams. Oh, I got Toronto down further. That's why. Toronto's 9th. Paris is 7th. Okay. But the top 5 are all no loss teams. Good. Again, Vancouver Titans dominating win over Shanghai Dragons. Very, very good play from them. A little bit of spice in there, which I liked. They are my number 3 team. Winning Busan, Hollywood, Temple of Anubis, and Dorado. Alright, coming in next, number 2. 2 expansion teams in our top 3. Coming up next is the Hangzhou Spark. One of 3 teams with 2 wins this season, along with the New York Excelsior and Philadelphia Fusion. Coming in number 2 here, though, is the Hangzhou Spark with wins over the Shanghai Dragons. Winning 3-1. Again, becoming the first team from China to get a win in the Overwatch League ever. Winning Busan, Hollywood, losing Horizon Lunar Colony, and then winning on Rialto. And then the Hangzhou Spark went on to beat the Los Angeles Valiant. Now, if I'm saying Hangzhou, Guangzhou, or Chengdu wrong, Chengdu, whatever, if I'm saying them wrong, and there is a way that you know how to say them properly, that you will like to correct my pronunciation of those 3 cities, please comment down below the correct way to pronounce them if I am saying them wrong. I don't know if I am. I feel like I'm saying them right. But if I am saying them wrong, comment that down below. The Hangzhou Spark won on Busan, then lost in Bonnie Temple of Anubis, and then came back winning Dorado and Nepal. I thought they were a very, very strong team. Coming into the season, I did have Chengdu Hunters as the strongest rated Chinese team in 8th, and the strongest expansion team being the Vancouver Titans in 3rd. My top expansion teams were Vancouver Titans 3rd, Paris Eternals 7th, and Chengdu Hunters in 8th. But watching from this week, the Spark and the Titans look to be the 2 strong expansion teams, along with the Paris Eternal. And again, the Hunters, I have them rated high based on their 1 win, but I feel like they could definitely drop down a little bit there. So I think overall, Hangzhou, Vancouver, and Paris will be the 3 strong teams potentially making the playoffs. I can't change it now because preseason playoff predictions are preseason playoff predictions, but still. If I could do one change, I'd switch out Chengdu and Hangzhou. Those are my 2 switches. Coming in number 1, though. One of my favorite teams in the Overwatch League. Probably my second favorite team. One of the teams that I always rank very, very high in our power rankings. And honestly, it ranked high all last season from like Stage 2. When I realized Soul Dynasty maybe wasn't as dumb as I thought they were going to be. All the way from Stage 2 all the way to the end of the season. And honestly, I thought we were the best team from last year. And honestly, they were the best team from last season. Just had some issues in the playoffs. The New York Excelsior here ranked as the number 1 team yet again in our power rankings. The only times they weren't ranked number 1 in the power rankings towards the end of the season last year was when they were eliminated. The week that they lost to the Fusion and the week where they didn't play because they weren't in it. When there's only 2 teams, they were not ranked high. But besides that, New York Excelsior, I think the lowest they've been ranked is like 3rd. The New York Excelsior are your Week 1 Stage 1 power ranking leaders. Beating the Boston Uprising on Nepal, losing Nimbani, tying on Horizon Lunar Colony, and winning on Route 66. Then the Excelsior took on the Washington Justice and their former coach and one of their former players, winning on Ilios and Kings Row, losing on Horizon Lunar Colony, and then winning on Rialto. They definitely threw on Horizon the first game, though I know that. I remember watching that. They threw hardcore. They could have just won that map instead of drawing it, but ultimately didn't matter. So, that is my rankings for this week. Again, we'll go back through it. London Spitfire 20th. And again, the new expansion teams joining here. Washington Justice, Guangzhou Charge, Atlanta Reign, Toronto Defiant, Paris Eternal, Chengdu Hunters, Vancouver Titans, and Hangzhou Spark. They're expansion teams. We're not really going to refer to them as expansion teams probably in a week or 2. They're just Overwatch League teams now. They are part of it. And they're in the rankings, and some of them are pretty highly rated. Alright, so our rankings at the end of Stage 1, Week 1, though. We have London Spitfire 20, Houston Outlaws 19, Shanghai Dragons 18, Florida Mayhem 17, Washington Justice 16, Los Angeles Valiant 15, Guangzhou Charge 14, Boston Uprising 13, Los Angeles Gladiators 12, San Francisco Shock 11, Atlanta Reign 10, Toronto Defiant 9, Dallas Fuel 8, Paris Eternal 7, Seoul Dynasty 6, Chengdu Hunters 5, Philadelphia Fusion 4, Vancouver Titans 3, Hangzhou Spark 2, and New York Excelsior at 1. Now, if you thought this week's Power Rankings were long, make sure you guys check out next week's Power Rankings. We're going to introduce standings into the Power Rankings. But to wrap up our Power Rankings every week, we give a preview of what to expect in Week 2 of the next week of the Overwatch League. Here in Stage 1, Week 2, we have some very, very interesting matchups for you guys coming at you for Overwatch League. Again, we'll be back at Power Rankings next Monday. What you guys can expect in Stage 2, or Week 1, Stage 2. All the times I'll be giving you our Eastern Standard Time, because that's what the time is set to on my computer. And that's where I'm at, Eastern Time. So you guys can convert the times yourself, or if you live somewhere else and you have the Overwatch League app, or look in the Overwatch League website, it'll tell you the exact times in your area. So, matchups to look forward to on Thursday. Guangzhou Charge Dallas Fuel at 10 p.m. That one looks like that could be a very, very good game. The way Dallas Fuel played, and I think Guangzhou is a decent team. They played against Chengdu in the first week. That'll be a match to look forward to. Also look forward to Seoul Dynasty and Chengdu Hunters. Seoul will be looking to rebound after a loss at Dallas. Chengdu will be looking for their second win in the Overwatch League. And between myself and Lamim, who doesn't really do YouTube anymore, but if you want to still check out his stuff, link down below if you want to check that out. I'm sure we'll be tweeting about that game. That is 11:30 on Thursday, February 21st. On Friday, February 22nd, we have the New York Excelsior and the Los Angeles Valiant at 8:30 p.m. Make sure you check that. Oh wait, we have the Atlanta Reign and Toronto Defiant. Don't forget to watch the two, I think, pretty irrelevant expansion team matchup. Yay. No. Don't actually watch it. That's probably wasting your time. Watch you be wrong. That'd be the best game all week. Again, February 22nd, 8:30 p.m. Rematch of the two best teams, or the two division winners from last season. I don't think the two best teams are the two division winners. The Atlantic Division winner from 2018 and the Pacific Division winner from 2018. New York Excelsior and Los Angeles Valiant, 8:30 p.m. Also, that day, this is a big one. Watch Shanghai Dragons against the Boston Uprising, 10 p.m. First time I've ever recommended a Shanghai Dragons game. Watch Shanghai Dragons begin their quest as they start a new chapter, as they begin going 1-42. I believe Shanghai will get the first one against Boston Uprising on Friday, February 22nd, 10 p.m. Make sure you check that out. Saturday, February 23rd. Games that are going to be on that day. Philadelphia Fusion and Dallas Fuel. Two teams that are solid. 4:30 p.m. Check that out. 6 p.m. if you guys have not checked out the Vancouver Titans. I recommend going and checking them out. They're a very good team going against the Guangzhou Charge. Again, if they don't win, if Guangzhou doesn't win against Dallas, I don't know if they'll beat Vancouver. They'll have to be determined. And then on Sunday, 3 p.m. Sunday, February 24th. Hangzhou Sparkle, London Spitfire. That could be a good game. I don't see London staying down as a bad team. The reason I didn't suggest London both times is because they're playing against Washington Justice the first time. I don't see London staying as the worst team. I could definitely see them making a rebound. Honestly, if they get 2 wins on power rankings, they could be up in like 11th, 12th next week. Another good game, Vancouver Titans, San Francisco Shock. Two teams that are very, very strong. This season, I recommend checking that out as well. So, those are my game suggestions for the second week of the Overwatch League for Stage 1, Week 2. So, I hope everybody enjoyed the power rankings this week. We'll be back on February 25th with our power rankings again. We'll rank all the games from that week. That'll be interesting. Solana only plays once. That's the team that I can see on here that plays one time. Anybody else play only one time that I know that's notable? It looks like the Atlanta Reign only play once. Los Angeles Gladiators play once. Let's see. Those are the three that I can see play once. Seoul Dynasty, Atlanta Reign, and Los Angeles Gladiators. They only play once. Paris Eternal, they only play once. Paris Eternal only plays once as well. Those are the ones that I can see so far. Atlanta Reign, Seoul Dynasty, Paris Eternal, and Los Angeles Gladiators. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's a long video. It should be better next week. Once we get things a little bit smoothed out, smooth out some things. There we go. Once we smooth some things out, figure that out, get the standings involved a little bit, talk a little bit about the teams then. We'll get things figured out. It's the first week back, new teams, longer video. Kind of hard to gauge how long a video will be, based on the fact that there's 20 teams instead of 12. But definitely a big jump. 8 new teams to go over. And with 8 new teams, there's only 4 more games each week. But I just threw in so much details. We deserve like 7 minutes talking about the season, and then like Storegun waiting to watch everything, and then like Boston cutting half their players that were good, and like Shanghai becoming a good team. Like there's so many little stories we talked about that I feel like we're not going to necessarily have next week. But either way, the teams only play once. That's actually pretty cool because I don't have to like do so much detail about them. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in the next one.